Happy birthday. Well, thank you. Let's go, man. Love you so much.
Easy work.
Let's go.
Easy work.
In the emotional moments following his fight with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, caught in a raw and unfiltered moment in his locker room, the iconic boxer, usually known for his intense persona, is shown in a vulnerable state reflecting on the fight and his performance.
Are you surprised it went the distance?
No, I knew he was a good fighter. I knew he was prepared, but I came to fight.
You know, 58, a lot of people thought you shouldn't be here. A lot of people thought you'd be done and dusted in the first round. Do you feel like you proved the world wrong, that you could at least go 8 rounds with a younger man?
I didn't prove nothing to anybody, only to myself.
Tyson's silence says volumes as he processes the reality of the loss.
I'm just happy with what I can do.
Could I ask about the knee brace? Were you dealing with an injury going into the fight?
Yeah, but I can't use that for an excuse, because if I did, I wouldn't be in here.
Former boxer Froch stated his displeasure with the fight, calling it awful and stating that it did not go as expected. Froch, known for his honest and often blunt commentary, expressed frustration with the performance of both fighters. He felt that the fight didn't live up to the hype surrounding it. As a seasoned fighter, Fr was hoping for a battle that showed real skill and competitive intensity, but instead it fell flat.
Listen, it was an anticlimax. It didn't live up to the expectations of what it was built up to be. I mean, it was crap, wasn't it? Let's be honest. The fight itself was awful. Did Jake Paul take his time? I don't know. But all I saw from the beginning, well, let's go right back to the beginning. Let's go back to the ring walk. I was in that stadium when Canelo Alvarez defended against Billy Joe Saunders. And it's a massive place, brilliant venue, beautiful crowd was there. I think there was, last night, I think there was 72,000, not quite the big 80, was there? But it was a big crowd, so they turned up. They turned up to watch a fight between iconic master Mike Tyson, and obviously there's a lot of fans of Jake Paul. They want to see Jake Paul, but I feel like Jake Paul's the bad guy. Jake Paul's the enemy. Jake Paul's the guy that everybody wants to see get knocked out, and that's why they turn up. And the bag work that he was doing, and the clips on the build-up, like, you just feel like he couldn't get anything going. Did he hold back himself? Did Mike Tyson not really try? Did he get in there and follow a script? Well, don't actually hit Jake Paul on the chin with a big shot, because you might just knock him out and ruin the whole script and ruin the whole Jake Paul story, the big con that is Jake Paul. So maybe that happened, maybe it didn't, but Jake Paul didn't really get anything going. He was almost fighting scared. He came into the ring walk, into that big stadium, and what was it, a Chevrolet or a Cadillac? It was a big gas-guzzling American car. It looked good, he looked cool, he looked a bit nervous, but he looked cool in his car. His brother was there, Logan Paul, all the glitz and glam, the music, the pyrotechnics, the whole build-up to this show was fantastic. It was enjoyable.
The fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul has caught the attention of millions, not just for the spectacle, but because of the historical context it holds. Tyson's team stressed that the event was epic due to Tyson's legacy in the sport of boxing. Despite Tyson's age, his presence in the ring brought an air of nostalgia, drawing interest from fans of all generations. Tyson's influence on boxing from his prime in the 1980s to his brief return for exhibitions makes every fight he's involved in an important moment in history. His participation in this fight alone added to its high profile, creating a buzz that transcended the sport itself.
It was the largest event in the history of boxing. I think we can all agree, especially the purist boxing fans, that Mike Tyson is the reason that this event is as big as it is. 21 years old, he made history in boxing. 58 years old, he's made history in boxing. And throughout his entire life, he's been the focal point and the living legend here of boxing. I mean, that doesn't take away anything from what Jake Paul has brought, but you need a dance partner, and there isn't one as big as Mike Tyson. We're very proud of, I think I can, on behalf of head coach Billy White, Coach Raphael, that we're very proud of Mike's his determination throughout camp. I mean, we all remember Mike Tyson, especially if you guys are our age. And of course, we've been with Billy for 45 years. You remember him as the killer, the menace, and you get to see the pads and you see, just how amazing he is. And we're very proud.
From the start, many people questioned the fairness of the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, given the large age gap between them. Tyson, at 58 years old, was well past his prime, while Jake Paul, a much younger and more physically active fighter, was in his prime. This mismatch was evident to fans and analysts, and many doubted Tyson's ability to fight with someone like Paul, who had a more recent and active training regimen.
Okay, so last night was the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight, and let's just be honest, right? Who really thought this was actually going to be any good? I mean, the best punch landed was in the face-off. It wasn't even during the fight. And now everybody this morning's yelling about how dare they even put this on television. And I hear you, but like, let's be honest. It's not the worst thing that AT&T Stadium has put on television this year. This was always just a gimmick fight. I mean, the only good thing that actually came out of this fight is the women's fight before it. That was a fantastic fight. I mean, somebody got screwed in that one, but whatever. But now Jake Paul's out here chirping that he wants Canelo. That's a real fighter, sir. That's somebody who's still fighting and wins constantly. And to be fair to me, he beat Mayweather. I mean, that was a screw job and a half. And I mean, we knew exactly what was going to happen. Paul was going to win, Tyson was going to lose, and I think that's horrible. I think Mike Tyson never should have signed up for something he was rigged to lose. I mean, Iron Mike, one of the baddest, if not the baddest boxers ever to walk the planet. And he signed a contract just to get a payday. And look, I get what I'm going to say is going to get a lot of heat. But it notches him down to me. Greatest of all time is not what I think he is anymore. It really leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
One of the most curious aspects of the Tyson-Paul fight was how predictions were made before the fight even finished. Google's prediction algorithm seemed to have already anticipated Jake Paul's win. The algorithm, based on numerous factors such as previous match statistics and public sentiment, suggested that Jake would emerge as the winner, which finally came true. This led to speculation that the fight could have been scripted or at least highly influenced by external forces.
So, like a lot of people, I just got done watching this fight on Netflix. Between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and while it wasn't the greatest fight of all time, it did have something to it that I made a video about just the other day. What I'm referring to is a video I made where I checked Google's results for the fight before it happened. And what I found on Google, which I showed in that video, is it said Jake Paul would win that fight by decision after 10 rounds. Of course, it was an 8-round fight, so that part wasn't correct. But Google essentially had the fight results right. Now, like I said in that video, maybe it was a glitch, maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it was AI just making a guess. But somehow, the accurate results of the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight were available to everyone on Google a couple days before. This whole thing just seemed strange to me, but I'm not saying it was predetermined or anything like that. I'm just still wondering how Google could have fight results before the fight happened. Let me know your opinion on the fight if you watched it, and the whole situation with Google having the results about 2 days before.
Before the fight happened, let me know your view on the fight if you watched it, and the whole situation with Google having the results about 2 days before the fight. Rapper and entrepreneur Drake put a hefty bet of $355,000 on Mike Tyson to win. This was a bold move given Tyson's age and the outs surrounding his ability to defeat a younger and more active fighter like Paul. Drake's bet drew attention, with many wondering why he would place such a large wager on Tyson given the circumstances.
If your name Mike, Michael, Michelle, if it start with an M, do not talk to me until Monday. I'm just playing. I just really didn't want him to lose to Chicken Little. Like, I'm so irritated right now. Boo, tomato, tomato. But to be 58, he did that. Them legs was looking like pretzel sticks, though. Legs were giving chopsticks. I really blame Drake. Anybody that he bet on lose every time. He been losing all year. But I can hear all the uncles at Thanksgiving right now. I'm not Mike Tyson, nephew, young bull. You don't want none of this. Like, please, before you break your back, please. The commentators was getting on my nerves, but you know who fade I really want to call out? Netflix. Netflix, come see me, because what was that? It was glitching the whole time. What are you doing? Somebody explain this to me, please. I bet Natalie Nunn on the phone right now trying to get Taylor and Serrano on the next season of Baddies. Cedric the Entertainer was giving bottle of perfume. Cologne was giving Ferrero Rocher. It looked like he sold frankincense and myrrh. But yeah, honestly, this was a waste of time. I know Mike just wanted the bag, but you could have said no to this, for real. I really wanted us to get our lick back from that election, but it's cool. Just know, don't try it. Don't try it. I'm just glad he didn't get knocked out. And I feel like Jake could have did it, but he respected him, so I respect that.
Throughout the fight, Jake Paul did not appear to press the attack as fiercely as he could have. Many commentators and fans noted that Jake could have easily ended the fight in the early rounds given Tyson's advanced age and physical limitations. However, it seemed that Paul was hesitant to do so, possibly out of respect for Tyson's legacy or a desire to avoid the negative backlash that would come from defeating a 58-year-old boxing legend quickly.
The 3 biggest takeaways from Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I'm still in disbelief this actually happened. Number 1, what the f did we just watch? I'm speaking directly to Netflix's 280 million worldwide subscribers. were any one of you entertained by this? Was there a single moment in this fight where Jake Paul was in any form of trouble? The only punch Tyson landed was the slap yesterday. I mean, Mike looked old as hell. He was not throwing back. He looked like he was on stilts. I didn't see his knees bend at all. And the constant biting of the gloves? Could anyone tell me what that was all about? It's a tick he's done in many of his past fights, but I don't know if he's ever done it as much as he did tonight. The commentary even said, why isn't Jake teeing off on him right now? Because a lot of people don't want it to happen. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to see a 58-year-old man get hurt, but this is a fight. They should have at least told us it was going to be a glorified sparring session. I want a refund.
On the Al Helwani show, the host discussed the public's response to the fight, acknowledging that many fans would have been thrilled to see Mike Tyson defeat Jake. Paul Tyson, despite his age, has always been a fan favorite, and many hope for a glorious return to form.
Oh, he sucks, or oh, he carried him, and more on that in a moment. The only result that I think people truly would have been happy with is a Mike Tyson knockout of Jake Paul. I think that's the only one that would have sufficed, and that wasn't happening. There was never really any doubt. He landed a couple punches early on, but there was never really a question as to whether or not that would happen. I think Jake carried him. I think Jake didn't want to knock him out. I'm not sure if he could have, but he definitely took his foot off the gas last couple rounds for sure. And ultimately, I'm okay with that. I thought it would be a little bit more competitive to get to the decision, but ultimately I'm okay with that. I am surprised he didn't call out Canelo afterwards or someone else. I'm not suggesting that should be the fight or that he can beat him or anything like that, but it seemed to be like that was the thing on his mind. I am surprised that Mike said he'll fight again and that maybe he'll fight Logan, although I think he was kidding, to be honest. And so, yeah, a spectacle made for Netflix. And, on a selfish note, I know no one really cares about this. And, people want to say, you sold your soul, this and that. Like, man, I'm a kid from Montreal who grew up watching Mike Tyson.
Alexander Volkanovski gave his perspective on Tyson's performance during the fight. Volkanovski, who is no stranger to the rigors of combat sports, noted that Tyson looked to be performing better than many expected.
Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. What did I think about it? To be honest, I thought Mike Tyson did well. I was a bit worried about this fight, thinking Jake Paul could really go out there and hurt him. But even at the weigh-in yesterday, and I seen Tyson, he looked big. You know what I mean? Looked like he was put some work in, and But it was so that surprised me. And then watching some of his training footage, I knew a lot of that is just very short. But then he did his workout, and I thought, he still looks sharp, and I still thought he might be dangerous in the pocket. How long will he last? I thought he would maybe have one round in him, and he didn't last long. It was obviously a couple of rounds where he looked maybe he was a little more dangerous, and then it just sort of, he would try and get into range. He just found it very hard. Jake Paul obviously not letting him get close, knowing that he probably can still hit hard. It still looked like he could hit hard. Just trying to find him is always going to be harder with a younger dude like Jake Paul. But Jake Paul, I'm seeing some people like Weber. Do you think Jake Paul pulled back a little bit? Did he want to go out there and really hurt Mike Tyson? Probably not. Was he still trying to tag him? Yeah, I think so. I think he was still trying to tag.
Eddie Hearn was another important figure who expressed his discontent with the fight. Hearn admitted that he hated the event and thought that it was difficult to predict which way it could have gone.
Another brutal battle, another very razor-thin victory. How did you feel about the judges' scorecards tonight?
Spot on, really. I mean, I think it was a fight that could have gone either way. I felt KT won the fight, probably 95-94. Could see a draw, could see it the other way, but I just felt like in the back half of the fight, she was pushing Serrano back. She was landing the eye-catching stuff. And I thought the first half, she outboxed her as well, but very, very close. Just another tremendous war. Amanda Serrano's a legend of the sport, tremendous fighter. But that woman there, Katie Taylor, and we know she's probably not the fighter she was, but she guts these fights out with so much heart. It's just astonishing to see. And I couldn't be prouder of her tonight. It was a massive win.
It's surprising. There's been a lot of discussion about the headbutt, about the cut, the referee's performance. How do you address all that?
He took a point. He didn't actually warn her. He didn't take her aside and say, if you do that again, I'm going to deduct a point. So I actually, I don't think necessarily the deduction was harsh on Katie. The team do. But I do think there are other referees that wouldn't have taken a point, and that point could have been very decisive in the fight. It was a rough fight. You know, her tactic was to box her in the first half of the fight and push her back, rough her up and beat her up. And she did those.
Dr. Bryan, a medical expert, raised concerns about the legitimacy of the fight, questioning whether it should have been allowed in the first place. He pointed out that Tyson's physical changes over the years, including his age and health, might not have made him fit for such a high-profile and physically demanding event.
And sets a really dangerous precedent going forward. We're gonna talk about the whole fight clearance approval process and then just physiologically why he looked the way he did. There's a lot of just true anatomy and physiology changes that explain why Tyson looked so bad and play a role in why this type of thing should not happen. So how did this fight even happen or get approved? Each state has an athletic commission that governs licenses for combat sports. It's not a national standard, it's state by state, and there's a wide variety of medical clearance processes and rules in place from one state to another. That probably played some role in where this fight happened. So here you can see if you're gonna apply to get a license, you basically have to have a medical exam, you have to have some negative blood work, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have to have passed an eye exam within the previous 6 months. And if you are over the age of 36, you are considered a older competitor and you have to have more favorable physical testing, limited, including EEG, EKG. So EEG is a very generic test of brain function, brain activity, but doesn't actually show you anything structural in the brain, and an EKG is for the heart rate.
The immense build-up to the fight set high expectations, but eventually, it left many fans feeling disillusioned. The hype surrounding the event was substantial, with fans and media outlets alike making it out to be a monumental fight between the polarizing figures.
Do we blame Mike and Jake Paul? Do we blame Netflix? Do we just blame ourselves? Like, yo, marketing and nostalgia and history and the fact that most of us ain't have nothing else to do tonight got us. It's like, you know this is bullshit. You know Mike Tyson is 58 years old. We still is all waiting up late and like, yo, we tuned in. Yo, you watching Jake Paul versus Mike? Who you got? Who you got? My man Swave online with me. Yo, I got $1,000. I'm texting him. I'm taking that bet too and all that. We placing bets and all that. As if this is some real shit. Mike Tyson is 58 years old. Jake Paul is 27. 31-year difference. Most of us wanted to see Mike Tyson win. The nostalgia, we rock with Mike. A lot of us support Mike. Jake Paul, you know, the famous YouTuber that stepped into boxing. And I'm not going to say he's made a mockery of boxing because he is a real fighter. He is a real boxer. He has boxed professionally. He is knocking a bunch of people out. I'm not trying to put him in the real class of our real boxers. We're not doing that, of course. But I respect Jake Paul.
Stephen A. Smith gave his thoughts on the Tyson-Paul fight, expressing that he did not want to see Tyson knocked out. Smith acknowledged that Tyson's loss was likely given the circumstances, but still expressed a sense of disappointment in the result.
31. Do y'all understand? I'm gonna put this in perspective. I was just telling somebody here in studio in LA this. Do y'all know more than 20 years ago, Mike Tyson got dropped in a fight from sheer fatigue? Wasn't even hurt, but still extended his hand to reach out for the referee to help him up. He actually had a second there where he was looking for the referee to help him up because he was so tired. You understand? That he could barely get up. That was 20 years ago. So if that was you 20 years ago, what am I supposed to believe about you now? Now, in the case of Jake Paul, I'm conflicted because I know he's obnoxious and he can get on a lot of people's nerves and all of this other stuff. And you got a lot of people that want to see him get knocked out. Cam, let me tell you something about Jake Paul, you two, L and RC, that this is where my conflict is. A lot of folks would like to see him get knocked on his ass, no doubt about it. But there's a flip side to this. Because of what promoters have done to the sport of boxing, denying us the opportunity to see fights when we want to see them. What Jake Paul has done for the sport of boxing in terms of showing you could go out there without a damn promoter, promote the damn fight yourself.
Steven Espinoza, the president of Showtime Sports, gave his perspective on the fight, describing it as a rough event.
I think we're all hoping to see a little flash of the old Mike. And we saw like someone who, you know, I wish I'd seen the old Mike. You know, not to take anything from Jake, but you know, Mike looks his age, and you know he should. Look, I take that back. He did a lot better than a lot of 58-year-olds would have done. But you know, you know, there was I think it is about 70,000 people out. Me and Mike. So. Like, I think it certainly brought people out.
Ryan Clark noted a key moment before the fight when Mike Tyson slapped Jake Paul. Clark interpreted this gesture as Tyson trying to show his dominance and fighting spirit before stepping into the ring. Do you think the hype surrounding the Tyson versus Jake Paul fight was justifiable, or did it fall short of expectations?
Like, the dude you saw last night was from NY. He was from Brownsville. It was a whole different feeling. And like, you don't let somebody fake slap you. Like, having a conversation that, hey, yeah, when you come out here, you're gonna slap me and we gonna build the fight. That's not a thing that happened. And the way that Mike attacked Jake Paul, I believe he means business. I believe this is serious. Like, pit bulls bite, period. You ever walk into a house and you see the dog and everybody's like, nah, he's docile, he don't bite, but you keep looking at him knowing that he got an issue? That's Mike Tyson. And for the first 3 rounds of this fight, even though it's only 8 rounds at 2-minute rounds apiece, Jake Paul better run, because if at any point he wants to make this look like a real thing, he wants to make this look like he really wants to be in the ring with Mike Tyson, the old dog still can hunt, and I believe he can knock Jake out.
RC, you have no idea how much I'm praying that you are right. I do not want to see Mike Tyson get knocked out. I really, really don't. I'm proud at how his life has evolved and, you know, and all of this stuff after all that he's been through. I don't wish this brother to get knocked out. But, yo, fellas, he's 31 years old.
That's it for today's movie. Stay tuned until next time.